I always believed that parents knew what was best for their children. Since childhood, I had trusted every decision they made for me. I thought they would always protect me, guide me, and stand beside me when life became difficult. But there came a time when one decision from my parents changed the entire direction of my life. I was living a simple life with my family. We were not rich, but we were not completely helpless either. I worked hard every day dreaming of building a better future. I had plans, goals, and hopes that one day my difficult days would end, and my good days would finally begin. For years I had struggled. I worked different small jobs, saved whatever I could, and kept believing that one day everything would change. I always imagined that when my success arrived, I would celebrate it with my family because they had been with me during my hardest moments. But when my life was finally starting to improve, something unexpected happened. One evening, my parents sat with me and told me that they had made a decision. They said there was an opportunity for me to go to Paris and work there. They explained that it would help me earn more money and create a better future. At first, I was shocked. Paris sounded like a dream, but leaving my family and everything I knew felt painful. I asked them why they wanted me to go so far away when things were finally getting better for me here. They told me that sometimes a person has to leave their comfort zone to achieve something bigger. They said this was my chance and I should not waste it. I looked at them and tried to understand their words. Part of me was excited, but another part of me felt like I was being sent away at the exact moment when I needed my family the most. I wanted to stay. I wanted to see my dreams come true in front of the people I loved. I wanted my parents to see that all my hard work was finally paying off. But I agreed. A few weeks later, I packed my belongings and prepared for a new life. The day I left was one of the hardest days I had ever experienced. I looked around my home, remembering all the moments I had spent there. When I hugged my parents goodbye, I tried to stay strong. I did not want them to see my sadness, but inside I was broken. The journey to Paris felt longer than I expected. I kept thinking about my family, my old life, and the dreams I had left behind. When I arrived, everything was different. The streets were beautiful, the buildings were amazing, and the city looked like something from a movie, but beauty cannot remove loneliness. I was in a new country where I knew almost nobody. I did not understand the language well, and every day felt like a challenge. My work was difficult. I woke up early, spent long hours working, and returned to a small room where silence waited for me. At night, I would look out of the window and think about my old life. I wondered if leaving had been the right decision. I remembered how I had imagined my future. I thought I would become successful near my family, not thousands of miles away from them. Slowly, anger started growing inside me. I began thinking that my parents had not sent me there because they believed in me. I started feeling like they wanted me away from them. I asked myself why they had chosen this moment. Why did they send me away when I was finally seeing hope? Every day I became more distant from them. Their calls became shorter. Their messages remained unanswered. Whenever they asked how I was, I simply said I am fine. But I was not fine. I was carrying pain that I never talked about. Months passed and I started becoming stronger. I learned new skills, improved my work, and slowly built a life for myself. The same place that once felt lonely became familiar. I started understanding that success was not as simple as I imagined. It was not only about money or achievements. It was also about patience, sacrifice, and learning how to survive when nobody was there to hold your hand. One day something happened that changed my thinking. I received a message from my family. They told me that they missed me and wanted to talk. For a long time I avoided emotional conversations. I was still hurt. I still believed they had abandoned me. But that day I decided to listen. During the conversation, they told me something I never expected. They said they knew how much I had suffered before. They knew how hard I had worked and how many dreams I had carried. They told me that they sent me to Paris not because they wanted to lose me, but because they wanted me to discover my own strength. They explained that they were afraid I would stay trapped in the same struggles forever if I did not take a big step. They wanted me to have opportunities they never had. Their words made me silent. For the first time, I realized that maybe I had misunderstood their decision. They were not pushing me away. They were pushing me toward a better future. I spent many nights thinking about everything. I remembered all the sacrifices they had made for me. I remembered the times they supported me when I had nothing. I realized that love does not always appear in the way we expect. Sometimes love means holding someone close, and sometimes love means letting someone go so they can grow. My life in Paris changed after that. I stopped seeing it as a punishment and started seeing it as a chance. I worked harder, but this time with a different mindset. I was no longer working just to prove something. I was working because I wanted to create a life that would make my family proud. Years later, I looked back at the person I was when I first arrived. I was angry, confused, and lonely, but that person also had courage. Leaving home was painful, but it taught me lessons that I could never have learned by staying in the same place. I discovered my abilities, I learned independence, I understood the value of family. The day I finally returned home, I felt a strange emotion. The same place I once thought I would never return to felt like the most peaceful place in the world. I saw my parents standing there waiting for me. For a moment, nobody said anything. Then we hugged. All the anger, all the misunderstandings, and all the pain disappeared in that moment. I finally understood that my parents had not taken my happiness away. They had helped me find a bigger happiness. Sometimes life takes us on paths we do not choose. Sometimes the people who love us make decisions we do not understand. But with time, we realize that every difficult journey has a purpose. The day my parents sent me to Paris was the day I thought I lost everything. But it was actually the day I started becoming the person I was meant to be. And today I am grateful that they gave me the courage to leave. Because that journey did not take me away from my family. It brought me closer to understanding them.